Welcome back to Man Down Sports. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit that thumbs up on your way in, and make sure you share this as well. A lot of people watching this are watching it. Not everybody is subscribing when they watch it, so make sure you do that as well. If you're watching from Facebook or Twitch or Twitter, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel because that's where most of the content is at. All right, you can see from the thumbnail. Of course, the Lakers and Nuggets played game one last night in Denver. Jokic had a crazy game. We got to talk about that. We got to talk about some things that Steve Kerr said about the future of the Warriors and the future of Draymond Green. We got to talk about that. Of course, Adam Silver spoke on Ja Morant right before the lottery. He was speaking with Malika Andrews and all of those things. And then we got the big news, which is the draft lottery is done and over with. The San Antonio Spurs landed the number one pick when I think 10 times out of 10, they're going to take Victor Wembanyama, which is the generational talent that everybody's talking about. So with that pick out of the way, I guess the question marks is going to be what Charlotte is going to do. The number two pick, are they going to take Scoot Henderson, or are they going to take one of the Thompson twins, or they're going to take Miller from Alabama? It's a no-brainer for me. I'm taking Scoot, and I figure out the rest after that. Yeah, I know Scoot's a 6'2" point guard that's a scorer, so he's kind of like in that hybrid range, like a Dame Lillard with some of Russell Westbrook's or Ja Morant. So Derrick Rose's athleticism. So he's let's go Derrick Rose a little bit, but then let's say that his jump shot is as good as Dame Lillard's was when he first came into the league. So that's why I see Scoot Henderson at. I think he's a franchise type player. And I think even at 6'2", he can play the off guard position while you have the 6'7" LaMelo Ball playing the point guard. And how you make that work is, because they do that a lot with Marcus Smart. He's a hefty point guard, but he's only about 6'2" or 6'3", so he's not like a huge guy, but he's a good defender as well, and I think Scoot can be a good defender. So if I got Scoot, he's 6'2", and I got the 6'7" LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball is not that great of a defender, but I think if my small forward can be someone that can defend good wings, like let's think about the best wings. Let's think about if Charlotte was playing a team like Boston, they got two really, really good wing players who both made all NBA this year, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. So if I had a really good small forward around 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", that's agile enough to guard a guard or a scoring wing, I would want him in my small forward position, and I would put him on Tatum, right? I would have Scoot with his big frame, try to guard Jaylen Brown, and I would have LaMelo Ball guard whoever the lesser wing offensive player is, right? Whether it's a point guard or a wing, so LaMelo Ball is going to get the lesser guy every night. But then I got 2'6", 2'7" wings, and then I got Scoot. Or you can see if LaMelo can stay with Brown or Tatum a little bit. It'll probably be more Tatum, since Brown is a little bit thicker and probably a little stronger than Tatum. So whoever my small forward, this imaginary small forward that can defend, that's probably my one of my best defenders on the team. If he's guarding Jaylen Brown, LaMelo is trying to do his best with Tatum, and I have Scoot guarding my point guard. I think they might work too. So my small forward and LaMelo Ball will guard my wings, and Scoot will guard my point guard on defense. But on offense, I definitely have Scoot playing off the ball with LaMelo Ball being my point guard, setting everybody up, if that makes sense. So I think that's possible. I'm taking Scoot. I'm not trying to draft based on need or fit. I'm taking the best talent. And I'm figuring it out after the fact. Now, I probably go a little bit more deeper in that because I'm from North Carolina, so I don't know if I pay attention to the home team, but I'm not a a diehard fan of the home team, if that makes sense. But you know, when you away from North Carolina, you got to kind of rep your state a little bit, man. So I really do pay attention to what they're doing over there, and then of course the GOAT is out there, man. So I gotta look into that. However, I did have some predictions before the draft lottery, right? So if you missed my video, I think I got a link in the description. But I definitely made some predictions, right? And my predictions were true, right? I'm gonna play something I said about the draft lottery. It is my belief. I don't think they would give them the number one pick for them to get Wemby. I think they really want Wemby in a big market. So I don't think Wemby will go to Charlotte. But I do think they're rig it so the Charlotte Hornets would get the number 2 pick and get Scoot Henderson, which is cool because he might end up turning out even being better than Wemby. Who knows? So I'm cool with that. So watch out for that. You heard it here first. Another couple of things I think is going to come out of this lottery is there's a couple of teams that tank, and then you got the Dallas Mavericks who actually missed the playoffs on purpose so they can get a chance at their lottery pick. I want to see how Adam Silver will handle that. Is he going to feel bad for them? And well, I know the teams that tank are not going to get rewarded. They're going to try not to reward those teams. But so that was me predicting before the draft, right? And you might not heard it well. I kind of reiterate a little bit. Basically, what I was saying is, I believe the draft lottery is somewhat controlled enough where they can get the outcomes they want, right? So let's set that premise up, right? That's what I believe. I don't think it's just 100% lottery and lotto balls, because the real lottery is somewhat rigged. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, the real lottery is set up for them to get more money than they giving out. Like, they wouldn't operate if they was just giving out, like it was so many people winning and they was giving out money. Every casino, every gambling spot, every place that do any type of gambling, every lotto, every scratch off, all of it is set up for the house to win more than they lose, right? So that's just the lottery. And it's funny that the NBA adopted a lottery for the draft, and like, you just the lotteries are just notoriously, slighted toward them being the winners more often than the people who are actually spending the money to buy the tickets and play lotto. So anyway, I say all that to say this. I looked at a couple of things, right? I looked at Michael Jordan being a little pissed off that he's not getting, like, Michael Jordan never gets a break in the draft. Like, he never gets these generational talents that's coming out. And he saw 2 of them available. And I think he was ahead of the game when he announced that he wanted to sell the team a couple of months ago. And what I think that did is it kind of prompted Adam Silver to say, you know what, man, we got to throw Michael Jordan a bone. Like, we really do. Right. But I also said that Wemby is too good of a player to play in the Charlotte market, because the Charlotte market don't generate that much money and attention as someone, like where he ended up in San Antonio. You see, when San Antonio got a team, they're selling that arena out. Their fans are loyal through and through, right? So they know where they want the biggest marquee names and biggest marquee players at. And Charlotte's not one of those places. So I was like, in order for them to appease Michael Jordan, I can see him get the number 2 pick, but he won't get the number 1. Number 1 will go somewhere where it makes more sense. And I was right about that. They did give him the number 2 pick, as I predicted. The other things I predicted was the teams like Detroit, Houston Rockets, and Dallas Mavericks that was obviously tanking for different reasons, though. The Houston Rockets and Detroit and the other teams, they was tanking to get Wembanyama. But Dallas was tanking so they wouldn't make the playoffs. So they had a better chance at getting their lottery pick, because they had a top 10 protected pick involved in the trade for Porzingis to New York. And if they didn't land a number 2 or a number 10 or better draft pick and they got 11 or worse, then that pick automatically went to New York. And they felt like, man, it will get more ping pong balls if we don't make the playoffs and we end up with being one of the teams that has more percentages to get this top 10 pick. That's what they did. Adam Silver didn't like it. He fined them, and I was wondering, would he continue to punish them by saying, we're not even going to give you your number 10 pick. We're going to give you the some 11 or worse, right? And lo and behold, and Mark Cuban is a vocal guy, so I don't think he even would have let that slide. He would have tore the NBA office up. But Adam Silver's way of letting him know, I still didn't appreciate what you did. He made sure I'm gonna give you number 10 exactly. You getting the number 10 pick exactly, right? I'm not gonna drop you out of 10, but you ain't getting nothing better. I'm gonna make sure you're not gonna get a player that's gonna turn your franchise around. I'm gonna try to get you as far as possible without making you lose your draft pick. You know what I mean? And I just thought that was funny, right? So that was one thing. That was one thing to watch for. The last thing I say about the lottery is Wembanyama going to San Antonio, I think is a good fit for the NBA. I think that's a good play. He seemed to be happy. They showed him and his family celebrating when they found out San Antonio had to pick. Popovich. Everybody thought he was going to retire, but this is the type of player that makes you want to coach 10 more years at least. Right. So I'm excited about that. They're going to have to put some pieces around him, but him being there might attract some free agents, man. So I think that's real dope. And then I think I'd do a mock draft sometime in the near future. And I definitely want to talk a little bit more in depth about Charlotte and their roster and some of the things they can do, because they got Bridges coming back possibly. They still got PJ Washington. He had somewhat of a breakout season. And then at the guard position, we got a whole lot of things we got to figure out. I can't believe I'm saying we. The Charlotte Hornets got a whole lot of things they got to figure out, because they got LaMelo, of course, that's a mainstay. He's their point. But you still got you drafted the young Book Knight last year. You got Book Knight that was mostly playing in the G League most of the season. You got Terry Rozier. You still got Gordon Hayward. And you got some other guards out there. They gotta figure that wing and that guard position out real good. And do some different things, man. So I'm gonna take a more in-depth look at their roster, and then I figure out what MJ needs to do out there. But Adam Silver though, Adam Silver was talking to Malika Andrews right before the draft lottery, and she asked about Ja Morant, and here was Adam Silver's comments.
We talked directly about the consequences first before we got to a subsequent potential to have done something wrong. We were very focused on the misconduct that was in front of us at the time. And frankly, most of our conversation was about how incredibly serious the first incident was of waving, a firearm on social media. And again, and the consequences there, an 8-game suspension was pretty serious, and something that he, at least to me, seemed to take incredibly seriously in that time. And we spoke for a long time about not just the consequences that could have on his career, but the safety issues around it. Could have injured, maimed, killed himself, someone else with an act like that. And also the acknowledgement that, as you said, he's a star. I mean, he has an incredibly huge following.
Yeah.
And that my concern, and I thought he shared with me, that millions, if not tens of millions of kids globally would see him as having done something that was celebrating in a way. That act of using a firearm in that fashion. And so I at least was left with the sense that he was taking this incredibly seriously. So honestly, I was shocked when I saw this weekend that video. Now, we're in the process of investigating it, and we'll figure out exactly what happened to the best we can. Then it's the video's a bit grainy and all that, but I'm assuming the worst, but we'll figure out, exactly what happened.
All right, he said first of all, the way he navigated that question and he was trying to answer it is almost like he was in his own head thinking about what am I gonna say, what I'm not gonna say, and he was fumbling and stumbling over a lot of his words, man. And toward the end, it was a little bit more of a smooth. So just take that first 75% of what he was saying and just understand how much he struggled to say what he had to say. And he probably felt like, I mean, because if the way he painted the picture, he sat down with Ja Morant. Ja Morant showed him all the remorse that he needed to show him, said the right things. They both expressed how concerned they was over the behavior and how concerned they was with people that follow and who are fans of his, especially the young kids, on how they would look at that and how it was dangerous, and a bad influence on them in that way. And he explained all these things, and he said that he felt like when Ja left from that conversation that they had an understanding that Ja was taking it serious, and that everything was going to be on the up and up from there on out. And then 2 months later, he's doing the exact same thing on social media, and he was just taken aback. He was beside himself. He just couldn't believe it. Like, I just can't believe it. Like, I was just in his office. He was just in my office when we had this conversation. So you can understand how he felt about that. And but then he's also not trying to really give off too much information because the investigation is still going on, and part of that investigation is we gotta see how authentic this video is. We gotta see if that's actually a gun, because we don't want to suspend him from something that he come back and be like, hey man, that was a water gun and I can prove it, and then they got some type of lawsuit on their hand. So they're doing the investigation, and they're probably interviewing Ja Morant. They're probably go interview his friend, and they probably going to have some experts looking at the film and saying what is what and what is not. So the investigation is still going on, and then after he get all this information, he got to sit with it and make a decision. And at the end of that conversation, he said, and I'm thinking of the worst. I'm expecting the worst. So whatever the worst is that a indefinite suspension, or is that a year suspension? Is that a 50-game suspension, or is it something like a 25-game suspension? I think 25 games is like, I think the seriousness of this situation, and the same thing that they said about Draymond Green stumping Sabonis, said that Draymond was a repeat offender. I think that repeat offender is going to work against Ja Morant, because this is something you did 2 months ago, and this is something you was in the office of the commissioner talking to about, and it's very serious. And and you've been investigated for so many other things this year as well. So all of those things are going to play into his decision. Is going to work against Ja Morant. So no, that's real unfortunate. But yeah, Adam Silver. I mean, he seemed like a cool guy, man. I feel bad for him being in this position, to be honest with you. But Ja Morant, the position he's in, man, this is just self-inflicted wounds, and he putting himself in that. So I don't know what else to say about Ja Morant, man. Like that's it, man. Ja Morant might be he might be in for it, man. So I don't know, man. Get the help you need, Bullet Boy, and I don't know. Grow up, cut your locks off, stop trying to be like King Von, something. I don't know. I don't know what to tell him, man. And moving on to the Lakers and the Nuggets game. First and foremost, the Lakers came out flat. They came up with a lineup that I didn't quite understand. And it's funny because I gave a prediction in a preview of this game, and I talked about how I felt like they needed to guard Nikola Jokic. I'll play that. And I think they do. And somebody laughed at me when I said this, but I think Rui Hachimura is a good defender. He's definitely a good shot blocker. He's not horrible on the perimeter either. In the post, he's too small for Jokic, but so is Draymond Green. But that's not going to be the issue. The issue is when he gets the ball, am I going to guard him like Ayton did, arms length away? Or am I going to do like Draymond Green did and get all the way under him, the way the Boston Celtics did Kevin Durant last year and the way Draymond did Jokic last year? So you heard what I said. Basically, I was saying if you watch the games from last year when the Warriors played Denver, they put Draymond Green on Jokic, and you know how Draymond Green. I mean, it's the same formula that they use on Kevin Durant and the same formula they use on Joel Embiid this year, and I'm talking about the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks. So when Kevin Durant was in Brooklyn and he played Milwaukee, the first player that kind of gave you a blueprint of what kind of bothers Kevin Durant, you know, he's a 7-footer, he's long, tall, and he shoots over almost anybody on the floor, right? So when you put somebody 6'7" on him and you give him space and you're trying to guard him honest, arms length away, and, you know, you're just trying to play honest defense, he's too good for that. He's going to eat that up. So you have to actually go beyond honest defense or respectful defense, and you have to get a little disrespectful, and you got to get in this airspace. And PJ Tucker was good at that. He was a wide body that was agile and you know with quick feet enough to guard somebody like Kevin Durant. Very strong, but he was short. He was only 6. He's only 6'6", right? Kevin Durant 7 foot. So what he did was he gave him no room and no airspace, and he was so close to him that he was like under his chest or under his waist. That's how close he was guarding him, and the referees allow it. And I got my own theory of why referees allowed it for Kevin Durant. That's a topic for another day, but they allowed that. And then the next year, when they seen Boston in the first round, Boston did the same thing with a similar player in Grant Williams. About 6'6", 6'7", but real stocky and muscular like PJ Tucker, and he got under Kevin Durant. And then whenever they switched, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum kind of did the same thing, and then sometimes Marcus Smart would do it. And the same thing happened with Joel Embiid. They guarded him the same way, man. A lot of physicality, a lot of disrespect. I'm in your airway. I'm smelling your cologne. That's how tight I am on you, and I'm very physical. And you seeing multiple bodies coming at you, and it's not always double teams. It's just, you know, like when Kevin Durant, when he took his jump shot, Udoka instructed them, no matter where you at, if you're near Kevin Durant, you can test him. So you got to look at some of those Boston highlights where Kevin Durant take a jump shot, and he'll have a hand here, a hand here, and a hand here. It'd be like 3 people contesting, and you know, that's kind of annoying. Like, you know, they wasn't even touching them on the contest, but it was just annoying how they was doing it. So that's the type of defense I expect on Jokic, and I expect them to use Rui Hachimura to do it because he's strong enough. He's the same type of deal as Grant Williams and PJ Tucker. He's stocky, strong. He's tall and long. He's tall and longer than them, to be honest with you. So it's even better, and he can move his feet quicker than Jokic can. So Jokic can't use his advantage on the perimeter to get bombed. And then even when he's on the perimeter, like he like to do, that's how he get a lot of his assists. Rui is up there in his airspace like Draymond Green was last year. And they came out with a small lineup with 3 guards, and they was getting destroyed. And then when they finally figured out that we go put Rui on him, they erased a 21-point deficit in the second half just from that one adjustment. And I'm like, man, how did I see that before the game? But they didn't see that before the game. Why would they come out there with 3 guards? Like how does 3 guards help you stop Nikola Jokic, man? It was just a mistake for them. And I felt like they missed the opportunity because if they would have came out and frustrated Jokic like that early on, they would have never got it going. Lakers probably would have been the one with the lead, and they would have stole game one. Now you waste that adjustment on a game that you lost, and now you giving them a whole day to go and look at film and have a counter for it and be ready for it in game two, right? So that adjustment kind of was a waste. It wouldn't have been a waste if they would have came from behind and got the win. But the fact that they did that, all that heavy lifting, showed their hand, and they wasn't able to pull the win out. Coach Malone and Jokic, they're going to be ready for that. They're going to make that adjustment. So hopefully they don't come out with that. Hopefully that's not just that. That's their only game plan, because even what Rule was doing might not be good enough for game two. He's got to get way more physical. They've been guarding, like, Jokic is too good to give him that much respect. They're guarding him like they want to be his friend after the series. Like that's not how Boston guarded Kevin Durant last year. That's not how PJ Tucker guarded Kevin Durant. That's not how Boston guarded Joel Embiid. They guarded them in such a way that it's going to be hard for me to shake your hand after the game. Like this, but they're not guarding Jokic like that. They're saying, "All right, Jokic, we're gonna be respectful. We're gonna guard you fair and square. We're not gonna do X, Y, and Z, whatever." No, you can't think like that. He's too good. He's gonna bust your head to the white meat, right? You got to get very disrespectful in how you guard him, man. So, I don't know. I thought the Lakers would still won in Denver. But we just have to wait and see, because I felt like they missed the opportunity in game one, and in game two, I think Denver gonna be ready. So we'll see. We'll see how they go. And last but not least, I can't say last but not least. I did this earlier when I was recording. I said last but not least, and then I jacked it all up. But yeah, last but not least, the Golden State Warriors, Steve Kerr. He had his exit interview. He said a lot of things, but there's one thing in particular that he said about Draymond. I want to play that for you, and I want to come back with my commentary.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Draymond's not back, we're not a championship contender. We know that. I mean, he's that important to winning and to who we are. So I absolutely want him back. He's a competitor. He's an incredible defensive player. We can check all those boxes. And he and I have built a really special relationship that has run the gamut. Over the years, we've had our share of run-ins, but we've been through so much. We really care about each other and work together well. He knows that he had a great season this year from a basketball perspective, but he knows that he also compromised things by what happened back in October.
Here's my thoughts on that. All right, so there's got to be some talks internally about breaking up the core of Clay, Dre, and Steph. Of course, Steph is not going to be involved in that. He's the person that's going to always be there. But you got a core or Dre, Clay that's added on to Steph, and they're good friends as well as teammates that gel and mesh and go together. Because what Clay and Steph appear to lack in toughness, Draymond has, and it kind of goes together. I'm not, and like I said, I'm not saying that Steph and Clay aren't mentally tough, but they're not outwardly the type of person that's going to push the envelope or be the enforcer or be a bully on the floor. So basically what the way Steve Kerr looks at it, and probably the whole Warriors organization, and probably Draymond as well, is that Draymond's importance, as long as Steph is our main guy, we've got to have Draymond just for that element. And then on top of that, he's a great defender and all that stuff, right? So they think he's invaluable. They think that he's just as valuable as Steph, right? So, so when you say something like that, it's kind of hard for a guy like Draymond to not come to the table and when it's time to negotiate, say I'm worth this max contract that we keep hearing that he and Klay Thompson want, right? He's got to opt in for next year, but what if he opts out and say I want a contract, especially if he knows Golden State feel like they have to bring him back? Why opt in? Why won't you opt out and then say I want my contract, and negotiate and say, look, I'm invaluable. I'm just as valuable as Steph, right? So that's the lip service that Steve Kerr is giving it. But here's the internal talks I think that's going on. The Golden State Warriors are in over their head as far as the salary cap and paying that luxury tax. And the new CBA goes into effect, and it almost penalizes teams like Golden State that are so far over the luxury tax. It's going to be even worse. So pretty much it's going to be more of incentive for you to be as close to the salary cap as possible. They're going to make it even more painful and almost impossible for you to even do anything what Golden State is doing now. Golden State has Wiggins, Klay, Steph, Draymond, all on the max contract, on max extensions, and then they just gave one to Jordan Poole. So next year it'd be 5, right? The new CBA, the way Woj broke it down and explained it, it's going to be almost impossible for you to have 3. You're not going to be able to have 3 players on a max contract like Brooklyn did with Harden, Kyrie, and Kevin Durant. They say that's not going to be possible. So think about it, it's going to be impossible to have 3. And then look at Golden State. They have doggone near 5 on the max contract. Something's got to give. The easiest way to fix this is the $43 million they owe Klay next year, and almost $30 million they go owe Draymond Green. You got to get rid of both of them dudes. You got to. Or, well, Klay is 100% got to go with 43 mil. He's got 43 mil. Between Dre and Poole, you can keep one of those guys. But if you get rid of Klay and Poole and you just keep Draymond, you basically got rid of Klay and his replacement, because Poole was supposed to be there to replace him, right? He was knighted as a splash brother last year. That's how he played. So getting rid of both of the old school and the new school at the same position and do the same thing, getting rid of both of them makes no sense. But Poole is due for 28 next year. I think Draymond's due for 27 next year. So their salaries are kind of even. So financially getting rid of Poole and Klay would work the same as getting rid of Poole, getting rid of Klay and Draymond. However, the money might work, but on the court it don't work. So I think it's going to be very priority and I think that's the talks that's going on. That's why Kerr feels the need to come out and fluff Draymond Green up and tell everybody how important he is and tell everybody he want him back, because he knows good and well that they've been talking all season about not bringing him back. But it's Draymond's, the ball is in his court because he has a player option. So if he opts into that contract, he might get traded. If he don't have a no trade clause, he might get traded. He opt in, he might get traded. He's not gonna make it to the trade deadline, especially if they're not playing really, really good basketball. But the decision's got to be made. For me, it's definitely I'm out with the old, in with the new. Steph, you just got to figure out a new scheme with your new players. You know, you gonna be moving forward with Wiggins, Gary Payton, Jordan Poole, Looney, Oh, look, you gonna be moving forward. No more Clay, no more Dre. Because if I'm the owner, ain't no way I'm about to pay almost $400 million a year in salary when the salary cap is 137. I mean, there's no way I'm paying almost 400, all because I want to put Dre and Clay on the floor with Steph for one more year, or however long they feel like they want to stay there. Like, there's no way, right? So it's very interesting. Kerr is out there campaigning for him. I don't think it's going to work. I think that's a message he's probably sending to the media. He's probably already said that to the owner and the GM. But it's got to be falling on deaf ears. I just don't see a scenario where they feel like Draymond is so important that we just can never get rid of him. Like, I don't think he's that type of player. As far as toughness, mental toughness, physical toughness, enforcer role, locker room accountability guy, and a defender, I feel like there's a lot of those players out there, and they're not making 27 mil. Right. So Iguodala was one of those guys. Udonis Haslem was one of those guys. You don't give a guy 27 mil for that. Right. You don't get you already gave him a max contract 3-4 years ago. Ain't no way he get another one. Not at 33. Not with me paying $400 million in luxury tax, and not with us missing the getting missing the plow 2 years in a row and then getting put out. We won the championship, but then got put out in the second round. Nah, there's no way. Nah, I'm not paying for early exits. Period. First early exit you got, I'm cutting ties. You're not getting me to the finals. I'm not making my money back like I want to, but I'm paying like I weigh. Can't do it. Right. So they can campaign for Draymond all they want, but the writing's on the wall, and he knows the writing is on the wall. He said so earlier this season, man. The writing's on the wall. As soon as Jordan Poole got that contract, they already knew what plans was from GM for the GM Bob Myers. They already knew what it was. I'm replacing Clay, and I'm breaking up their core three. I'm sorry, y'all this better be y'all last dance. Y'all better get it popping. And instead of them getting it popping and making a deep playoff run, with the core one last time, Draymond wanted to punch out his teammate and broke the whole locker room chemistry up and never recovered. Right, so let that sink in. But those are my thoughts, man. Appreciate y'all for hanging out with me. I will see y'all on the next episode. Peace.